Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Pricie here, and I'm back with another subscriber replay for you. This time, today, the spotlight is on Battletyphoon. He is the Deputy Commander of Circ 3, Best Circ, of course, and he is going to be showcasing the T26E4 Super Pershing for us today, and it's going to be a great game. He's really going to highlight the strengths and weaknesses of this tank, particularly the strengths and how to utilise those to your best advantage to make sure that you're using the tank to its maximum potential. Now, as you can see, there's got a couple of good players on his team, but there's also a couple of good players on the other team. So, should be interesting, should be a good game. It's a tier 8 game and he's top tier, so that's always nice. Now, the Super Pershing, it's a medium tank, although even though it's a medium tank, it's more of a medium heavy tank really. It's very slow for a medium tank. It hasn't got the sort of characteristics that you would normally expect for a medium tank, i.e. sort of speed, manoeuvrability, and it sacrifices those things and instead gets a absolute butt ton of armour, particularly on the front of it. Much like a standard sort of American heavy tank, it's very well armoured from the front, although quite weak from the sides and rear. Now, the Super Pershing is actually a really troll armoured tank. It's got a huge chunk of spaced armour, which you can see around the front of the gun mantlet, and it's also got a big chunk of spaced armour welded over the top of the front of the hull as well, which makes it very hard to penetrate from the front. It has got a few weak spots on it, but at ranges, and if you don't know what those weak spots are, it can be very hard for you to pick those weak spots out. Now, he's got to the battlefront, and he is now currently putting fire into the lower front plate of a KV-1S that was tracked beforehand. And with the excellent rate of fire that the Super Pershing's got, being it does have a medium tank gun, which means it's a little bit lackluster on the penetration, but it does make up for that in the rate of fire and DPM. He's taking lots of fire in return, particularly from this Panther and this Tiger one, and he does have an IS down in the valley to his left, which is a new terrain feature that was added in either 9.1 or 9.2, I believe, to bring a little bit more life to the map and give you a few more opportunities to flank around. But he's putting the excellent DPM of the Pershing to work, and putting shot after shot into the side of those tanks, and the sort of weaker parts of those tanks, both being tier 7, or sort of one being a tier 8 medium, the other one being a tier 7 heavy. He's got more than enough penetration on this gun to be able to put shots through those. Now, it cleans up the IS, tier 7 Soviet heavy tank, gets a nice fire on him, sets him alight, and then the kill gets finished off, but he gets some nice damage out of him now. It's 569 damage out of 2 shots, very strong. And he's had this KV-1S that caught fire in front of him and has died in a particularly handy place for him, and has given him some great cover to the front of his tank, which is helping protect the front of this well-armoured tank even more than the standard armour alone would. And he's working this valley line at the moment. There's a T150, an IS-3, and I believe it's a T29 or a Tiger lurking behind there. There's quite a few things all stashed up behind this rock, and he's slowly trying to work those over, although the IS-3 is very well angled against him at the moment, and it's a tough nut to crack, particularly with the penetration that you've got available with the Super Pershing. It's not really known for its penetration. But he is firing a few premium APCR rounds at the moment. I expect he loaded those for the IS-3. He's moving up a little bit closer and switching back to standard rounds, which is nice. That's one of the things a lot of people forget in World of Tanks, that penetration it dissipates over range. It's worked out over every sort of 100 meters. The penetration value of your shells will drop. So if you're not penetrating the target, there's one of two things that you can do, which is either load premium ammunition to give yourself added penetration, or two, you can simply move closer. And that's what he's doing now. He's pushed up a bit further into the valley. The enemy forces there are pinned down behind this rock, and he's working this corner now. Doesn't want to go too far because there is a bit of a nest of tanks there, and doesn't want to get himself into a position where they could get around to his sides or his flanks. So he's only giving them the strongest parts of his armour, and as you can see, it's the armour that he is giving them, the frontal armour, is very, very well angled. Now, it's 7-5 at the moment. His team are doing pretty well. They've got a 2-kill advantage, but that's by no means insurmountable. He bounces another shot from the IS-6 there into his spaced armour on his gun mantlet. And he's just looking for opportunities of the enemy tanks poking around this rock a little bit too far so he can put an opportune shot into those guys. Now, he has got shots at the IS-6, but I'm assuming he doesn't really want to take those shots because the IS-6 is a notoriously tough tank to penetrate, even with a good gun due to its extremely well angled armour. And the Pershing's penetration, as we mentioned earlier, is a little lackluster. So, looks like he's now, yep, he's going to progress forward now. He's moving up towards this rock. Looks like he's really going to pile on the pressure on these guys and see what's in this little nest of tanks that are hiding. He's doing a little wiggle there to try and make it harder for the Panther to locate his weak spots. Particularly at that sort of range, he'd be looking to protect his commander's cupola, which is one of the weaker spots on this tank, which is just behind that strange looking tube, two-tube arrangement you can see at the front there with the machine gun on top of it. Just behind there is the commander's cupola. The armour on top there is very weak. I believe the hatch on the other side is also a weak spot for the tank, so shots into that area are generally bad news. But one great thing about this replay is he's managed to preserve his hit point pool very, very well into the end game. This is only just now starting to take damage, and this is what you want in a game of World of Tanks. Save your hit point pool for as long as you can, and that way at the later stages of the game you can be a lot more aggressive, you can push forward and you can trade your hit points for damage on enemy tanks. And there we go, he picks up his 6th kill, picks up a top gun, and that's the end of the replay. We'll go to the end game score screen now. And here we are at the end game score screen. As you can see, that round was extremely action packed, very fast flowing, shells ricocheting off the front of his tank and the gun being fired 90% of the time. That was his ace tanker in the T26E4 Super Pershing. Picked up the mastery badge there. He also picked himself up a cool-headed for surviving at least 10 ricochets. He picked up the steel wall. He picked up a high caliber. And right at the end there you saw he picked up his 6th kill to give him a top gun. If we move to the team score page, you can see that game was 1,431 base experience, which is a great result for that tank in that game. He did 3,332 damage. He really did keep that gun singing throughout the round, which made it a really fun, really action-packed game. And obviously 4 medals into the bargain. If we go to the detailed report now, during that round he fired 26 shots, and of those 26, 24 hit, but due to the slightly lackluster penetration of the Super Pershing, only 18 of those penetrated, but still a really good result for the Pershing. As I say, that gave him a total of 3,332 damage done, and in return he received 14 hits, of which of those only 3 penetrated, which was the hits that he took right at the end there when he was trading off his hit point pool for extra damage on the enemy tanks, and 11 of those didn't penetrate. He received 1 hit as a result of splash damage and blocked 2,835 damage with his armour, giving him the steel wall. During that round he spotted 1 enemy tank and damaged 8 enemy tanks and destroyed 6. And did 800 assistance damage, I would imagine via the spotting that he did, and probably more so to do with tracking. Now, that game was during a ×3 event, so that 1,431 experience he picked up, on top of the fact he also got an action payout for a mission completion, brought his total with premium and with the ×3 event up to 6,974 experience earned for that game, which is a great round. And even without a premium account, he still would have picked up 4,829 experience, which is great for a triple. That is a great triple. Being a premium tank, however, the Super Pershing gets bonus credits. So that game, he received a whopping, with premium, 108,000 credits for that round. And minus his consumables and repair costs, he still made 92,414 credits profit. And even without a premium account, he still would have made 56,383 credits for that game. And I'm sure you'll agree, that was a really action-packed round. It's a great success there. Well done, Battletyphoon. We look forward to seeing a few more replays from yourself in the future. Now, if you enjoyed this replay, please feel free to hit that like button. That really helps me out. And of course, this is a subscriber replay spotlight. So, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and feel free to send me along a couple of really sweet replays that you've got. I've got a video up on my channel which will give you the details of the email address of where to send it to. Send those replays along. I'll take a look at them, and if they're up to par, you could be the next subscriber replay being cast. Alright, my name's Pricie. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.